Welcome to Riding the Trauma Train, or welcome back if we've shared this space before. I'm Lydia, your host and fellow passenger in this journey of self-healing, inner strength and personal growth. This podcast is a safe, judgment-free space dedicated to the realities of living with and healing from trauma. Through personal stories and in-depth conversations with special guests, including therapists, healers, practitioners, and fellow survivors, we look at what healing can truly look like in everyday life. We explore realistic healing journeys and share simple, sustainable practices and actionable tools to support your well-being along the way. So grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember you are not on this journey alone. Welcome to Riding the Trauma Train, or welcome back if you have been here before. This is a bit of a different episode today. So we are going to be reflecting on the last 6 months. Now, Riding the Trauma Train released on the 26th of January, 2026, and we are literally 6 months yesterday from release, which is amazing. Grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember you are not alone on this journey. Oh my goodness. Welcome in. And thank you so much to everybody that has been listening, that has been liking, sharing, commenting, and sending me DMs just to say that they've not felt alone or that their episode resonated with them. It really means so much. I can't tell you. I can't believe we're 6 months in. I think I'm going to do this again when we get to the year point. So in another 6 months, let's do another kind of reflection. But for me, I'm just excited because it's become much more than the podcast. I have connected with so many people, and I know that so many episodes have resonated with people and also let other people connect with other people. So it's kind of a ripple effect, which is exactly what I wanted. And let's think. If we think of riding the trauma train as a concept, the whole point of it is that we're on a journey. It doesn't matter whether we get on at a different stop. It doesn't matter if we sit in a different carriage. We are on this journey together, and you could be sat in a carriage where you were sat on your own, but you still have a driver. You still have someone in the carriage behind you or in front of you. And it's really important that everybody knows that they're not alone on this journey. And I think through every episode that I've recorded and every episode that I've released, because at the moment we've kind of got more recorded than we do released, but every single person has felt alone in some way, shape or form. And by speaking up and connecting with other people, there's like this realization that actually, no, we're not alone, and we are on this journey together. And I would really love to hear your thoughts as to what it was that you felt when you realized that you weren't alone. And if you could talk to your best friend, or if you could talk to somebody that was in the same position as you, what would you say to them? What would you say to their thoughts of being not lonely necessarily, but their thoughts of being on the journey alone? Because there's a difference, isn't there? There's a difference between being surrounded by people and feeling lonely and being alone, because sometimes being alone is quite nice. You can get to connect with yourself. You can get to connect with your thoughts. But then if you're surrounded by people and you're lonely, you're also disconnected. So over the last 6 months, I can safely say, even though I know this is a podcast and this is all about speaking to people, seeing what their stories were, what their techniques are moving forward, and how they can help other people, it's become much more than a podcast. It's very much a community. Now, everybody I've had on the podcast has really touched my heart in some way, shape or form. There's been so many conversations that either I've had goosebumps, I've had chills, I've welled up almost to the the brink of tears. And I've laughed so much. And I know this is a trauma podcast, but there are so many ways that we can get through things, and we can get through them together. So when I look back, I think it's just been a much bigger journey than one episode a week. There's been the connection with you guys, the connection with the listeners, and making a safe space for people to be able to interact, and making a safe space for people to comment, or to know that when they're going for their dog walk and you've got this podcast in your ears, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I was thinking that, but I didn't say it. So if someone else says it for you, it kind of helps you to be able to kind of speak up for yourself. And that was what the point of this was. Now, I'd really like you to take a look back at your own 6 months. So from January to July, we're in 2026. What has changed for you? What can you look back on and think, oh my gosh, I've accomplished this in the last 6 months? Or I've not done this in the last 6 months. Sometimes not doing one particular thing because it drains us or because it is counterproductive to what we're trying to achieve. So I think it's really important that we can all reflect rather than just thinking of me and the podcast. This is a space for everybody to kind of reflect on the last 6 months. So if I think about the 33 episodes that have gone out, so many of them have taught me many different things. We've had fitness, we've had trauma-informed fitness, we've had ADHD, triggers, suicide, bereavement. What else have we had? I'm going to have a look at my list. Literally, there are that many. We've had the armor we keep wearing, polyvagal theory, betrayal, recovering from betrayal, toxic parents, and all these things. I think there have been so many. We still talk about the nervous system, regulating the nervous system. We still talk about self-compassion, about boundaries, about courage, and about connection. And for me, like many of you know, connection has been such a big part of the podcast, of all my different social media platforms. And even now, going into public speaking, who would have thought when I started the podcast in January that in May I was going to decide to go public speaking? Like, that is a big turnaround for the books. I did not expect that. And I think there's also the concept of actually healing isn't linear. And I know that we say that a lot, but it's so true. Now, even for me, even when I started this journey, obviously it was 2 years ago when my abuser died and I went down a real bad mental health spin or spiral or tornado, whatever you want to call it. I went down a bad path. It was in that moment that I decided to choose me. But by choosing me, I also chose you, the listener, because I thought to myself, if I can walk this path of healing and I can give myself a voice, I can also help other people that don't have a voice yet, or those people that don't want to have a voice but want to be able to connect with other people. That was a weird noise. Sorry about that. If I think about that path, I went off on a tangent then. What was I saying? 2 years ago, my abuser died, decided to go down the healing route. Then the podcast. Yeah, I don't know. It's just gone from my brain. Anyway, we'll keep going. Yes, healing isn't linear. I think that was where we were going with that. And I didn't think that, like, even in the last 6 months, I've probably had 3 really bad trigger episodes. But by by being on this healing journey, I have been able to snap out of them or come back to the present much quicker than I would have done at the beginning of my healing journey. I hope that's also something to take from this episode, that even though healing isn't linear, there is kind of a reduction in the, I don't know how to say it, like in the, not the wallowing, but when you're in a bad trigger or when you're in that bad moment, there is a the reset's quicker. And it has been for me. So I really do hope that it is for you. And also, like this podcast, each week or each time I get to record with a guest, it's been really profound because it's like having mini therapy sessions, in all honesty. And I get to ask some amazing questions, but the expertise of the guests and the things that they've gone through and the practicalities that they've put in on their healing journeys and on their clients, patients, whatever you want to call them, has been immense. And I have learned so much on the way. And it's changed a lot in me. It's changed the way I approach the podcast. It changed the way I approached my own healing journey. And in all honesty, it's given me so much purpose. And I know that my tagline is "You are not alone on this journey." And the other one is "I'm turning my pain into purpose." But do you know what? I didn't realize quite how much it was going to mean to me doing this podcast. Now, I knew I wanted to help people. That was obvious in my brain, in my heart, in my whole entire being. But I didn't know how to do that. And then by doing the podcast each week and each recording, it's kind of evolved. Sorry, I just need to move my feet because I've got pins and needles in my foot. And yeah, where it's evolved, it also evolved from writing the Trauma Train podcast to Right Track Wellbeing. Now, I don't know if I've spoken about this in its entirety yet, but I'm just going to introduce it now. So, Right Track Wellbeing is like the embodiment of everything that I'm doing. Now, it's not because I wanted to be a business person. It's not because I wanted to grow riding the trauma train. It's been kind of evolving in the same way that the podcast has. I have been training to be a personal trainer. I've been training to be a mental health exercise coach so that I can help people that have been through life stresses, been through some kind of trauma, or just generally need help with their mental health. And for me, the one thing that has got me through the last 30 years has been exercise. Now, whether that is walking out in nature, whether that is lifting weights, whether that is going for a run, all of it has been movement. And I want to help people get through whatever they are trying to get through by helping their minds through movement. And that's where Right Track Wellbeing kind of evolved. And then one of my latest episodes, it was episode 31, was with Josh Connolly. Now, I'm also training with him to be a breathwork facilitator. And my plan is when I can work with somebody that is going through something with their mental health, and I'm working with them from kind of a mental health exercise coaching / PT point of view, if they're having a really bad day, I can do some breath work with them, which is going to be phenomenal. And in the same breath, I'm also training in September with Kim and Carl Doulish, I want to say Doulish. And that is the MANSE method, MANSE, which is a modality that is like conforms, not conforms. That's not what I'm thinking. What am I trying to say? So it's a modality basically that has intertwined so many different modalities, and they've come up with this amazing exploratory therapy that disconnects emotion to trauma events. And I've had a session and it was phenomenal. Again, I use the word phenomenal a lot. But anyway, so, and then I thought to myself, well, if I can bring all these elements in, Right Track Wellbeing will be a holistic way forward. And I'm kind of gone from a reflection to a forward thinking podcast, but that's fine. And I'm still in the process of doing the website for righttrackwellbeinglimited.com. And there will be online courses that people can do, which will be things like a self-guided nervous system regulation course. There are 3 or 4 different courses that you can do. And one of them is going to be a course, which is a 4-week course, which with me, and there'll be online calls. Yeah. So that right track wellbeing is going to be this whole big holistic side of healing and moving forward on your journey. And it's a way that I can also do it in person, online. And I think listeners will also get something out of it, because when I do the podcast, they've got something in their ears, they can move forward, and then vice versa. If I'm working with someone, if I'm working with you one-on-one, it means that I can point you in the direction of a podcast, or I can have a one-to-one call with you, or I can point you in the direction of resources. And yeah, so this is where it's evolved. And it's gone from the podcast and but the podcast and having episodes and talking through things each week, to kind of this whole new mission of being able to help people in such a big way. And I wanted to be able to help people in a practical way, as well as the conversations that I have on the podcast. And it's so true that each stop along the way, each station along the way, whichever you want to call it, we are able to help and evolve at every stop. And I think it's really important that if you've learned something over the last month, that you act upon it. If you learned something over the last 4 months, you act upon it, and vice versa, like 6 months, 1 year. And it's a magical thing, isn't it? That if you can take a moment, take a breath and be like, okay, oh my gosh, in the last 6 months, I haven't snoozed my alarm. Let's use that as an example. My alarm went off. I got up. I made myself a cup of tea. I had a glass of water first. That's like a really, really good habit to get into. So I want you to think of, where were you 6 months ago? What have you survived in the last 6 months? What have you learned? What are you proud of? And what can you now leave behind? And obviously, I've just given you a big spiel about right track wellbeing, and that is on its way. But what is next for you on your journey? Do you have a plan for? Oh, I'm setting my wire. Do you have a plan for the next 6 months? Do you have a plan for the next 6 days? I really want you. In fact, drop me a DM either on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Sorry, just scratched my head. Wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this, if it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, drop me a comment. Let me know what you are going to be doing in the next 6 months. Give yourself a target. Now, I'm not talking about fitness. I'm on about personal, soul-driven, heart-led goals. Do you want to feel good? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be able to have confidence walking through the door of somewhere that you've never been? Now, I know this is going to be a really short episode, by the way, but I want you to know that riding the trauma train is as important to me as you are. Like, these conversations are only here because I want to help you. And in order for me to be able to help you, I want you to tell me how I can help you. And I know that may seem weird now. I've gone down the whole, I've been going for 6 months, but this 6 months has taught me that there are so many of us that have different things that affect us. We have different things that we respond to, and 5 people can respond to one thing in 5 different ways. And I think that is what makes us beautifully human, that makes us beautifully unique. But it can also make it difficult to know the next step to take. I would love if you could drop me a DM and just let me know. Say, Lydia, I have listened to your podcasts, but you haven't done anything on this. You haven't done anything on this. I'm really struggling with ... Please, can you do an episode on this? And I would absolutely do my best to get something out to you, because I think we're in this together. We are a community. I have guests that come on my podcast. I have people that I connect with on all of my social media platforms. And I want to create a community. I want us all to come together. And in fact, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a right track wellbeing community. There you go. You heard it here first. There is a newsletter on ridingthetraumatrain.co.uk that you can get a newsletter, and it's got practical tips. It's got what's in the world this week. That I love that one. And just a little bit of reflection each week. But I'm going to do a community. Please, please, please drop me an email. hello@ridingthetraumatrain.com. Drop me a message if you want in on the community. Drop me a message if you want to have a different type of episode. Obviously, this is a really random one because I don't generally come on here and do solo episodes, because I do love my guests and I love the fact that you can kind of bounce off one another. So me waffling on for like 30 minutes is quite a lot. But what I think is really weird, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but have you ever thought like, my gosh, I want to do this, but I'm not going to do it because one, I don't believe in myself, or two, I'm scared that people are going to judge me, or three, what's going to happen when ... It usually isn't an anything. It's just what's going to happen when, what if that. And the anticipation and the anxiety that comes prior to actually doing something is generally worse than the thing, if that makes sense. And that was what it was with the podcast. Like in the beginning, some of them were very muffled, some of them were very disjointed. But you know what? I have learned a lot. One, about myself. I've learned a lot about technology. Oh my gosh, technology is not my thing. But I have learned a lot about the technical side of podcasting. And there are so many people that I have learned from along the way. And what I'm really, really proud of is the fact that everybody I've had on as a guest has taken away or given me something to take away, given you something to take away. And it's been beautiful, really, because we all need tiny little steps, and we all need some recognition that we're not alone. But what I would say is, if you do take anything away from each of the episodes, and if there is something like in the newsletter that is a practical tip, or practical tool, sorry. I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face. But if there is something that you've listened to that you think that's a great idea, but then you don't apply it, if you don't implement it, it's always just going to be an idea. It's never going to be something that will change you. You have to be able to do the work for yourself, as well as listening to other people. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I just think it's really important that when you listen, you understand and you click with something, that you then implement it. Because without implementing it, you're not going to be able to take that path. So I'd like to invite you in this moment then to get a pen and paper, get your notes in your phone, notes section in your phone, or get a journal if you've got a journal, and just write down 3 things that you have realized was a great idea, or you thought was a great idea, but you now need to action. because I'm sure there's more than three. But 3 things that you have been told about, that you've listened to, that you've watched on when you've been doom scrolling, because I know I do that. But 3 things that you think, they are really good. I want to do that. And then in the next 6 months, like that's a big old time. But in the next 6 months, make sure that you implement them. Now, if that is getting up 5 minutes before you wanted we're going to, if that is going for a walk, giving yourself some gratitude, doing a Mel Robbins and giving yourself a high five in the mirror. Like all these things are actionable things to make your day more positive. And I do think that we all deserve that. We all deserve to have a smile on our face and a smile in our soul. I really do think that. So I've probably waffled a bit on this episode, but that's fine. But what I want to say is that although this is Riding the Trauma Train, this is a podcast that I have developed for healing conversations. It's not just been about my journey. It's about helping you on yours. And it's mainly about helping you notice what you can do for yourself. And before this train leaves the station, I want to look back with kindness. I want to look forward with hope. And I want to take one small step, because every journey is made one step at a time. So thank you for listening. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me today on Riding the Trauma Train. I'm Lydia, and I feel privileged to share this space with you. No matter where you are on this train right now, whether it's in survival mode, slowly finding your feet in recovery, or maybe it's somewhere in between, remember, you are not alone in what you're feeling, and you do not have to travel this journey by yourself. So if you'd like to continue traveling together, please follow Riding the Trauma Train wherever you're listening, so you can join us at the next stop. Until next time, take care.